Texas border is overflowing. Illegal immigrants are streaming in from Haiti. Mexico won't take them. The situation has upset Americans on the right and the left. Welcome to America Uncovered. I'm Chris Chappell. Texas is in the spotlight. Again. This time it's because of a record-high migration surge. A whopping 15,000 migrants came to Del Rio, Texas last week. Del Rio is a border town right on the Rio Grande River.
You can get a real good perspective from the air right here of how many people are constantly streaming in. Our pilot's going to take us up this dirt path a little bit here so you can see why this crowd here just keeps getting so much bigger. These are mostly Haitian immigrants, but take a look at this as we move up the Rio Grande right here. That Mexican town that you're looking across the river, that is Ciudad Acuña. That is the Mexican city where all these migrants are gathering. And you can see they're using this dam right here to walk across the Rio Grande and enter the United States illegally. They then use a dirt path that's right below us and they stream into the International Bridge area.
Border Patrol holding facilities were so overwhelmed that thousands of migrants were sleeping in makeshift camps under the International Bridge in Del Rio. In Ciudad Acuña, the Mexican town across from Del Rio, local authorities have attempted to control the crowds, but did not stop them from entering the U.S. Border agents on horseback tried to deter migrants from crossing, but there were too many for them to deal with.
400 border agents are being sent in to help, according to the Department of Homeland Security, which says it will accelerate the pace and increase the capacity of removal flights to Haiti and other destinations.
This is just, at this point, overwhelming for the resources that we have.
In fact, some migrants were crossing the border between Mexico and the U.S. multiple times to pick up supplies. Since the coronavirus pandemic, the U.S. has been expelling many migrants to Mexico. Mexico has agreed to take expelled families only from Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, and El Salvador. The problem is, many of the migrants at the border right now aren't Mexican. A lot are coming from Haiti and other countries like Cuba. But Mexican authorities will not accept Haitians and other nationalities. And Mexico has been having its own problems with Haitian migrants as well. Del Rio used to be a little-used border crossing, but recently it's become the second busiest border control sector. Since October, agents there have made nearly 215,000 arrests, a record for the area. But no one expected such a huge surge of migrants in just 1 week. The situation at the International Bridge quickly became a humanitarian crisis. Trash piles were 10 feet wide, and at least 2 women have given birth, including one who tested positive for COVID-19 after being taken to a hospital. The Biden administration is now taking drastic action. They're launching a mass expulsion of Haitian migrants from Texas by putting them on commercial airplanes and flying them back to Haiti. The way President Biden is handling the Texas border crisis is making both the right and left angry for different reasons. I'll explain after the break. Welcome back. Republicans are blaming President Biden for the Texas border crisis. Shocking, I know. In particular, they're saying Biden's policies have incentivized people to come. Here's what Senator Ted Cruz, who went to Del Rio and filmed this, had to say.
When the word got out that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were no longer deporting people who came from Haiti, suddenly everyone who was here called their friends, called their family, and the numbers surged.
It's unclear how much of what Ted Cruz said is accurate. We couldn't find any evidence that the Biden administration had completely stopped deporting people from Haiti, or that led to the surge. And also, if you were living under this bridge, would you really call your mom and tell her she ought to come join you? But the numbers certainly have surged quickly. And it comes after the assassination of the Haitian president in July and the earthquake there in August. But these Haitians in Del Rio are not directly from Haiti. In fact, many of them left Haiti years ago after the 2010 earthquake. word that Del Rio offers a safe place to cross appears to have spread in a community of Haitians who left for South America in the past few years, primarily for job opportunities. And at least some Haitians have said they travel to the U.S. now because they heard that President Biden was letting people in. Back in May, the Biden administration designated Haitians as being eligible for temporary protected status. And earlier this month, the Biden administration extended the temporary protected status of Haitians already in the U.S. Temporary protected status allows people to legally live and work in the U.S. without being placed in deportation proceedings. Again, this only applies to Haitians who are already in the U.S. The order specifically says that any Haitians who enter the U.S. after July will not be eligible. And while some Democratic lawmakers have urged the Biden administration to halt deportations to Haiti, the Texas border crisis has forced the Biden administration to do the exact opposite. Biden is using an emergency public health power to fly Haitians out of the U.S. without the chance to seek asylum. But this is upsetting a lot of people on the left. More after the break. Welcome back. When Joe Biden was running for president, he said he'd be different from President Donald Trump when it came to immigration and border control. But once Biden became president, he kept a lot of Trump's policies. One of these policies is called Title 42. It's a health statute from 1944 invoked by Trump in March 2020 to prevent people from entering the country in response to the coronavirus pandemic. It gave the government the power to turn back any migrant caught crossing the border illegally, regardless of their country of origin, to stop the spread of COVID-19. Biden extended it last month, after the CDC issued an updated order keeping the U.S. land borders closed. And Biden is using this power to fly Haitians out of the country. Immigration advocates are in utter disbelief that Biden would do this. The executive director of America's Voice, a pro-immigration group, says the news of renewed Haitian deportation flights is the type of morally indefensible news we would have expected from the Trump administration, not the Biden administration. In other words, the worst criticism they can throw at Biden seems to be, "You're just like Trump." But many worry that forcing Haitians back will lead them to violent and unsafe conditions. And some of the migrants who were deported from Del Rio claim that no one told them they were being sent back to Haiti. Last week, a federal judge ruled that the U.S. must stop using Title 42 to expel migrant families. So how is the Biden administration still using it? Well, the judge stayed his decision for 14 days to give the government time to appeal, which it did. And the judge's stay means the Biden administration can still use Title 42 for 2 weeks, which they are. Meanwhile, Border Patrol officials say migrants are no longer crossing into Del Rio, Texas. But while the crisis in Del Rio may be ending, the larger border crisis is still ongoing. So what do you think? How should we deal with the Texas border crisis? Leave your comments below. And if you like this show, please know we could not do it without direct support from viewers like you. Visit patreon.com/AmericaUncovered and contribute $1 or more per episode to help us keep the show going. Once again, I'm Chris Chappell. Thanks for watching America Uncovered.